Hello, we're back. It's been a while. Sasan,
Paul.
Proteus Debate Academy. We've been very busy. What have we been doing?
Just working. Obviously, we both have two jobs. We work at our community college, and then we work at like private academy type things. Community college was insane this year. It was my first year being a professor for like the full year at least, and that was interesting during the pandemic and whatnot, especially with everything being online. But in terms of the forensics team, like we had our most successful year ever. We kind of like crushed the state championship, and we came in second.
We think we
came in second.
They give a gold to the top two teams. They don't say who was in first or second. We did the math. We think second.
We think we came in second, but also on top, I was doing the math the other day, and we went to, depending on how you count it, if you count swings as individual tournaments.
High.
If you count high, we went to 27 tournaments as a team this year, which is an insane.
How many of those were between our last video in December? It's got to be 17 of them.
Yeah, over half, I believe. Actually, it's hard to say because DVC thing is 3, but yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
Nah, it's got to be more. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
there's no way prior to that in December we'd been to more than 10 tournaments. Yeah, so we, in the last 5 months since you've seen us, gone to...
Bro, we went to 4 tournaments in January. Yeah,
rough. An insane amount of work, but also a tremendous amount of competitive success. But just exhausting. Super burnt out. I think we each had plural numbers of breakdowns in that time. But, it's been a little bit of time, and we're ready to make stuff again, just in time for it to not be relevant to you anymore because your season's over.
I think that like speaks to something interesting, though, which is, like, the fact that content is coming out now and is, like, timely, so to speak, or whatever, right? Or let's forget about right now, the last month, let's say, right, where things are, whatever. If those people, and I don't know, I'm genuinely not trying to call anyone specific out because whatever, there's a lot of stuff out there, but like, if your students are the students who are like competitive and successful at the national championships, how do you have time to make content for other people?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I mean, obviously everyone who's a fan of Proteus knows, like, when we go, we put out a lot of stuff and, a lot of hours of content and whatnot and stuff. But when we're in season, dude, I don't have time for anything.
Yeah, dude. The last thing I want to do in the free time I have is talk or think about forensics when it's like, 12-hour forensics days. But yeah, we're coming back. What do we got coming up? We're going to do some discussion type videos right now. That's what we're doing today. That's why we're here. I'm working on a very, very large, very ambitious case writing video, right? Just breaking down literally everything I know about case writing with a... not even just like a step-by-step guide. For example, I recorded last year when Paul and I were getting ready for the Tab and Dab, recorded us discussing the topic, coming up with the arguments, outlining the arguments, researching it, cutting the cards, trimming the cards, writing the speeches, editing that, and we also have a case evaluation tool that we made that basically is like formalizes how do we evaluate what should be in a case, what shouldn't be in a case, how do you look at what's good. So it's just going to break down all of that. That is a tremendous amount of work, and I don't know when it's going to be done. Paul, you wanted to make some videos talking about coaching?
I have my few thoughts are, one, I definitely want to make a video about coaching and what I think the purpose of coaching is, how people should approach coaching and finding a coach and why they should want to be coached and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to do an interview thing, and I'm not sure how I want to do it yet, but I either wanted to one video each of either me or one of our students, probably Tanya, interviewing us individually about debate, right? Because I think about a lot where it's like, what questions would I want to be asked, right? I'm like, but I don't know if that's like worth, approaching in that way. But like, right. I think that someone like that who knows us both and has been coached by us both for an extended period of time and has like gotten a reasonable degree of success in a variety of forensics events, it was just a thoughtful person who could ask like good questions. But I don't think that'd be interesting, right? To like kind of have independently. And then the last one, and I don't know how I forgot about it. I had to look up the notes on my phone to remember it. I want to do a bounty.
A bounty?
Yeah.
Challenge people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want not even like competitively in that sense. What I wanted to do was I think we have it uploaded to
like a speedrun bounty?
What I want to do is, I'm pretty sure we already have the video uploaded of our one or two of our rounds of the tab dab. We just never posted it, right? Because the timing was weird. And I want to do a bounty of like, I don't know how much, maybe $50, something like that, $50 Amazon card, and just be like, hey, do a round analysis. I want other people to do a round analysis of our round, and then us to pick the one that we think like is the best, or like, the most novel, the most interesting approach. And I think it'd be cool to see that, because I think it gives people a chance to kind of do, I think there's some people who like what we do and like they want to do something like that, and they can kind of get their foot in the door. Maybe we can, not that we have like a brand, but like we can kind of be a push for them in that sense. And I don't want it to be like, oh, this guy said we won, so whatever. But I just think that'd be interesting to see how
we are gonna pick the person that best describes why we got robbed.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think that'd be interesting to see how because I think that to a certain degree, some of those people will definitely be informed by how you've done round analysis. But I also think it'd just be interesting to see what I'm hoping to get from it is by seeing a bunch of how these kids approach round analysis. I think that will inform how they actually want us to do it, and not that we just do stuff because it's the way people want. But I want to know because I hate doing round analyses for a lot of reasons. One, because they take too long, and two, is because it's just not something I do in general, right? Like, when I'm coaching my students to great success, we rarely, if ever, sit down and watch a debate round and, go, here's what this is, right? The only time I ever do that is when there's already an organic moment happening with a student, and I go, you need to see this. When we had the showcase debate the other night, I was like, you need to see Sasan in the showcase debate in this speech. This is the moment you need to watch, right? And I do that with a very student. What
was the moment?
We were just talking about, I was like, it's not about, they were nervous and I was talking about jokes and stuff.
For sure.
And I was like, it's not about pre-writing jokes. It's about in the moment something happens, and then in that moment you've got to get them. You know what I mean? And whatever, right? And,
which also is not in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Careful with the rug.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
that's all good. But no. So on the round analysis thing, I don't mind making round analysis videos. I think for me, how I approach it is I'm just watching something, and then something will come up, and I'll just give a mini lecture on that thing, which is how a 40-minute debate round will become a 3-hour video, because it's not really about that round and who should have won and what. For me, it's more just all right, well, let's just talk about it, and then mini topics will come up, and I'll give a mini lecture on those things. With that said, a bunch of round analyses have been requested. I don't know how to parse through them and pick what's worth doing and what's not. I don't want to do round analyses on the same competitors we've done before. Some of the reasons some of the rounds have been suggested, I don't know if it's a novel or something that we haven't already done, where it's not going to give me a new topic to talk about. Or people have suggested hey, do this round analysis on this round because it's about the round centers around an identity K. And then it's okay, I'm happy to talk about the arguments and how they're constructed and how to respond to things and whatever, but I also don't want to be perceived as going on the internet when a child is talking about their identity and the struggles they face around that and just being I approve or I disapprove, So I'm happy to put out some of those, trying to figure out how to navigate that.
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think part of the reason I hate round analysis is I don't like judging. And that's all round analysis feels like to me. It's like you're just having me judge a round slower than I normally would.
Right.
And the reality is when I judge rounds, I'm like, bro, this decision was made forever ago, and I'm just waiting to see if you can say the thing that's going to convince me otherwise, right? Unless it's a very high-level round, in which case then it's like, crap, you know? The way I think a round is good is, to a certain degree, is if at the end I'm like, ooh, okay, now which one of these two things is in between, right? Yeah. But that is not most rounds. And so it's like, I don't, like, if I could never judge again, I wouldn't. I have zero interest in judging. I don't think... I was saying it's like I don't know, because all of my feedback... literally all of my feedback when I judge is negative.
Yeah.
It's all negative. And it's not like me negative, but I'm like, this is how I coach my students. Like, I'm like, I'm nice to them. This is the problem. If I judge you, you're some rando I have no relationship with. I don't want a relationship with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you, here's what I think you did wrong.
That is so far removed from how I...
And here's how you could get better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also don't start balance with your coaches are all probably smarter than me and blah, blah.
Yeah, they're not.
But,
they're not, but I don't want to get, like, post-rounded or whatever. It's just like, you're all so much better at debate than I am, but here is... it's just the way I saw the round. I don't know, but objectively, why you're wrong.
Kind of into a post rounding, but what I was gonna say is like in that sense, when it comes to judging, like with our students, the way I approach them, if you ask any of them, most of what I do in actual practice is just this is bad. Why is just stop? It's been 7 seconds. Stop. What is this? That's not what I'm whatever, right?
Yeah.
But everything else at tournaments,
sure.
And whenever they're having, a cry or whatever, right? All of that is very positive, very affirming, very whatever, right? And, the problem is, I'm not going to do that with rando X that I judge from, Z school or whatever. Yeah. And so all they see is like, man, that guy's really mean. And I'm just like, I don't know. I never, when I was a student, read a ballot and was like, oh man, that's so nice. This person said I was good. I was just like, how do I get better? And that was when I was at DVC. And then when I went to Pacific, I never read a ballot. We weren't allowed to. I never read I still don't read. My students are like, oh, can we do ballot review? I'm like, why?
Dude, all I want to do is ballot review.
I hate it.
I remember the first ballot I ever got, and I talked to that judge and thanked them for it. This might be a good time for that. No, it's not. I'll tell that story later. It's funny. I hear what you're saying. I personally don't like to make my students cry, but if that gives you a position of power later in the dynamic, then that's...
Given the
okay, what else? I think when you were put a bounty out there, I think it'd be fun to debate people.
I think I'm done.
Oh, you think you're done?
I think I'm done.
You're not going to do the tab and dab this year?
Well, I'm definitely not. I'm being in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
I would have done it, but I'm going to be in Hawaii. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, there was the, no, literally no one watching this will know this except for our kids, but there was the Parley Pro-Am this year, and I was supposed to be part of it, and I was really excited for that, but because of a bunch of things, I couldn't.
I don't even know the Parley Pro-Am.
The Parley Pro-Am, which used to be the Parley Pro Bowl, it's like a semi-annual tournament. Basically, it's whenever someone who actually has the initiative and organizing skills.
Right.
Anyone can enter this tournament with anyone. We're going to do a tournament. Right. Kind of, tab and dab, but for adults. Right. And I was really excited for it because I wanted to debate Oregon and put them in their goddamn place. But a bunch of things came up that made it not work out, right? In terms of, it was the weekend of my anniversary with Madeline, and the person I was supposed to debate with couldn't do it, or kind of was just gone all of a sudden, so it wasn't gonna work out. And I've been kind of excited for it, but the second I couldn't do it, I was like, I don't care. There are certain people I want to debate, mostly for the lulz, so to speak, right? And there's no one who I'm I want to debate this person to beat them and to show how good. I think I'm just past that, and I'm finally at a point where I'm no longer I'm no longer a competitor at all in that sense, but mainly just like my goals have always been to win a national championship. I didn't do that as a competitor, and so I have to do it as a coach. And anything I put energy into
other than
that's not that is kind of a waste. And like when it came to the Parley Pro-Am, I was like, I'm gonna start practicing again. Like I'm gonna, I was like a month out. I was like, I'm gonna start doing drills and whatnot. And then when it looked like it wasn't gonna happen, I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time on this. I haven't done spreading drills in forever, and I don't know. I think that there's very little I get out of it. And I also think, and this is to a certain degree more important, that I have a lot of, like, I don't know if it's just emotion or if it's like tapping. When I debate, it just brings me back to when I was a debater.
Yeah.
And when my life was a certain way, and like debate was never like, oh, like it was fun, but it was never like the reason I do this is because it's fun.
You were Mike Tysoning.
Yeah, and so like I don't want. I don't know. Honestly, you know, I really do want those videos out, like the Tab and Dab ones. But when I've watched them all a million times, and I'm like, I was really mean to this person, and I shouldn't have been, because, you know, A, I'm an adult, and B, it's not what the model I want other people to have, and I would never tell our students to do that. But that was who I was. Like, as a debater, like, it wasn't like I wasn't mean because I was trying to belittle people. I was mean because we talked about this many times. It felt like a survival thing, and like
that's what I mean by Mike Tysoning, right?
Yeah,
You're in there, you got to kill that guy so you can eat.
Yeah, and I felt like, you know, for whatever fucked up reasons, I was being demeaned. I felt like a lot of the time, and I think a big part of that was like class based. Like I just perceived myself as being from a lower class than a lot of the people in debate, and you know, I didn't like the idea of being looked down upon based on that, whatever, and that just carried with me. But you know, in one of those debates we had, like this person was just being like a little punk ass, and like I don't feel bad about that at all, because like I hate bullies and whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like also I'm saying, I know you're wrong, like whatever, you know, whatever you say as judge says, like I whatever, you know. But there's another one I was like, you know what, these kids were just trying to have fun and weren't being like really assholes about it. They were just being like memers, for lack of a better word, and I was like meaner than I should have been. And I think that I just get into that, right? And it happens sometimes even like, you know, with our kids. Especially, I never know about like saying our students' names. You know, Tanya and her partner.
Yeah, Tanya is an adult, but also Tanya might be getting more involved with Proteus stuff.
Yeah, so Tanya and her partner, you know, who I spend a ton of time with, like working with this year. Yeah. But like, we've had to tell them a bunch, like, hey, you need to, when we headed into state and nationals, like, hey, you need to get way better about, like, not making faces or shaking your head or being dismissive during people's arguments, or, like, because you can't, you know, at a 4-year tournament, you can have your camera off and no one cares, but at a community college tournament, you can't. And, like, when they would, like, you know, I'd say something and they'd, like, shake their head or whatever, like, instantly I'm at 10. And I'm just like, this is you trying to demean me when I know I'm right and you're wrong and I'm better than you and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, and then that happened. Right. And so, yeah, I just, the only reason I don't want to debate is because I don't think I'm emotionally ready.
My debate experience was a lot less traumatic, but also a lot less successful. The reason I like the idea of debating people is because I have this theory, and we'll talk about it in a minute when we start talking about coaching stuff. But I have this theory that people are the best at teaching things that they struggled the most to learn. And there are certain things that I struggled to learn and came up with acronyms and came up with systems and whatever. And there are other things that I could always just sort of do it. And I haven't been very good at teaching the things that I always could sort of just do. I did a Sean from the public forum Discord reached out to me.
Shout out to Sean.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, it was like, hey, would you be interested in giving a lecture? And I was like, yeah, I'll give a lecture on cross-examination. I spent a little bit of time preparing for it. I don't think I did a great job. But what I'll say is that I think the best part of that video was I was like, let me actually just demonstrate all this stuff. And at the very end, I was like, all right, somebody like read your first speech, and I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and I will like demonstrate these principles that I've been talking about. And I've been thinking about that recently, and I was like, I should have started that way. I should have just been like, okay, let's start. Somebody read your first speech. I will ask you cross-examination questions, and then let's get into like, what am I doing? Ask me questions about that. Let me break it down and try to explain it. Because so much of it is like something that comes naturally, and that I didn't sit down with a system in mind. And so it's hard when you're just sitting with a blank page to be like, what are the things that I do and would like to teach? So that's what I kind of like about the idea of like debating, not because I care about winning or beating people, because I think it has like an emergent quality to like things that will come up. Kind of like practice debates against our students at DVC, right? Where it's just like, okay, this is what we need to talk about. With that having been said, we're not people's coaches. So you doing a practice round with our debate kids isn't the same as us doing a round with whoever is watching this and wants to challenge me. Because you don't have that incentive or motivation to like, yeah, this is like draining on me, but I want to make this kid the best that they can be. It's an idea though, and I feel like we're open to suggestions. Just to kind of wrap up what else we might have coming up. We talked about like potentially doing some interviews. I don't have anyone immediately in mind. You said earlier that you might want to have Tanya come on board and ask us questions. I kind of like that idea because it's kind of like in a class where you're trying to get someone to ask a question because you know odds are a lot of people have that question and they're just not asking it. So it might be interesting to find out like what someone wants to know from us or about us. Another thought that has now escaped my mind about, speaking of Tanya, she might be needing to do like an intern situation, so we might have her help us with a website, and we might have like
that's content. I was wondering whether we should even say it because we're so deep in this video that it's going to be buried, you know what I mean, or whatever. But like towards the end, but yeah, I mean we're planning on doing like written content pretty soon.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I want people to cut cards.
Yeah.
And just be like, yeah, Via in 2021.
Yeah, but it's also like I'm on the debate subreddit sometimes, and I end up just like making these long posts that are really in depth about something. And if you're not one of the 6 people that scrolled to the bottom of that thread, you're not going to see it. And I don't know, like sometimes I'm like, I should hop on and make a video about this. But then I already took 2 hours to write that comment. I don't want to now turn it into a 16-hour ordeal.
Dude, I've gotten into a habit of going on r/debate, writing out responses,
and then just deleting it.
Yeah, and not even like in like for argumentative ones, but just some where I'm like, there's so much more I'd have to say for me to feel good about this response, and I don't have the time.
Yeah, but like stuff like that is something that we can easily just post up, and it'll just be there. And if you want to read it, great.
Yeah.
Anything I skipped? Anything I missed?
Not that I can think of. I think that's it. I think it's next up is coaching.
All right. Well, we're gonna try to get content up pretty regularly. We're probably gonna cut this conversation, not the one we just had, but what we're going to talk about into a few different uploads so that we kind of get back in the swing of having regular updates and regular content and posts and stuff. And then probably just ride that momentum into having more regular interaction with people. Unless you're not watching and you don't care, in which case I don't know. But yeah, if you did watch this, say what's up in the comments. Say hi. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what we mentioned that you would be interested in seeing. It's this channel started with us like kind of making videos, as they say in the screenwriting biz, on spec, which is just assuming someone will want to buy that script you just wrote. And it's really boring to do that, right? It's really boring to be like, does anyone care about my, like, what is fiat? Like,
the mindfulness one is one of my favorite ones. Like, I think it's our second least viewed video.
It's
and
great.
I saw someone reference it in a random comment in r/debate, and they're like, yeah, this video, like, it's kind of weird and like whatever. It's like, but it's actually like a pretty good video on it. And I was like, you know what's funny? I think that might be the most important thing I talk to my actual students about all the time.
Yeah.
And no one cares about it.
Yeah, and it's just like, wow, that's a lot of time and effort into something nobody cared about. And then I'll just, like, I don't know. The round analysis videos have been kind of crazy because it's just like, all right, I'm just going to hop on. I'm going to make things up as I go. And that's, like, by far the most popular content. But yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you want to see, because that will make us motivated to spend our free time on videos rather than our various other hobbies and interests and loved ones.